Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up. In the month of April, I read a total of 9 books, and that was 2 graphic novels, 2 audiobooks, and 5 full-length novels. And yeah, I actually enjoyed almost everything I read this month, and it's crazy, it's crazy. Let's just jump right into it.
You need me.
So the first book I read this month was an audiobook. It was actually the first audiobook I've ever listened to, and that is Emmy and Oliver by Robin Benway. This book I gave a 4 to 4.5 out of 5 stars to. I really loved this book. And Oliver goes missing as a kid when he's 7 years old, and then this book takes place when Emmy and Oliver are both 17 and Oliver has finally returned to his home. He was kidnapped by his father when he was 7 years old, and now this story is about his life coming back to his childhood friends and neighborhood, and it's really interesting, and I've never actually read something quite like this book before. The friendships in this book were just insanely adorable. I loved all of these characters so much. I think Emmy is a really relatable character. I loved her relationship with her parents, and then she had a really cute relationship with her best friend Caro, who is like really sassy and just puts people in their place and tells it like it is, you know. And then she has her other best friend Drew, who is an LGBT character, which I actually also liked the addition of having an LGBT character in this book. But all the characters just felt very real, and like I feel like the situation of being returned home after being kidnapped for a long time was handled really well. It all felt so realistic. The writing style reminded me a lot of like Morgan Matson's writing, so if you like Morgan Matson, then you'll probably really like the writing style of this book too. This book was just really cute, and I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to, and the audiobook is awesome. Like, the female narrator's name is Phoebe Stroll, and she has an amazing like light voice. She kind of sounds like Rapunzel to me. She just brings these characters to life so well, so I highly recommend the audiobook. The second book I read this month was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, and I finally got around to reading this. Oh my god, I've been wanting to read this for months, and I've heard a lot of mixed things, and this book, I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. This is like one I'm super torn over. Like, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. The things that I didn't like about this book was that the first 200 to 250 pages were so slow, and like literally nothing happened. Like, they weren't really necessary at all. And then also the fantasy elements of this book just really fell short for me. I mean, obviously I'm not a fantasy reader. I don't really enjoy fantasy books, so I tend to stay away from them, but this is Rainbow Rowell, so I really wanted to read it. What was going on? I had like zero interest in all of that. But this book has Simon and Baz, and Simon and Baz are just so adorable, and like seriously, they're 2 of my new favorite male characters ever. Like, I love them both so much, and was like the only reason why I finished reading this book. Like, they were so freaking cute. And like, Rainbow Rowell, if there's one thing she can do, it's write a cute romance. I'm a sucker for the enemies to lovers trope if it's done really well. In this book, it's done so well. Like, they just slowly start to, you know, like each other without even noticing it really, and I just think it's so adorable and beautiful. I wish the story was only told from Simon and Baz's perspectives, because in this book there's chapters from the perspective of almost every other character in the book, and I didn't really care for that. I just wanted to read from Simon and Baz's perspectives all the time, and I just feel like this book didn't need to be more than 500 pages. But I mean, I still really did like this book. It's just it's like really hard to rate, you know, because it's like I love Simon and Baz's characters, but the story was just okay. I would really love to see Rainbow Rowell write an LGBT contemporary book. The third and fourth books I've read this month was Saga Volume 4 and Saga Volume 5 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and both of these books were so good. I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars, and they're both my 2 new favorites in the series. I don't think I can pick one that's like my favorite, but these were so awesome, and this whole series is just so awesome and badass, and this world is so unique. I can't say enough great things about it. Like, there's comedy, heartbreak, love, everything, action, like really unique characters, just everything you want in a graphic novel series, and this series has it all, I swear. Like, I can't wait for the next volume to come out. Now I'm all caught up, so it's like, ugh. The fifth book I've read this month was The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, and I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. This is an adult thriller, and it's basically about this guy named Ted who discovers that his wife Miranda is cheating on him with this guy named Brad, and then one day when he's at the airport, he's randomly just talking to this woman in a bar, and he jokingly tells her that he wants to like kill his wife for what she's done to him, and then Lily, the woman he meets in the bar, says that she thinks he should do it. The book just takes off and we get this amazing cast of like really fucked up characters. Like, this book reminds me a lot of like The Girl on the Train, but also of the TV show Fargo. This book was just so wonderful, and it was separated into like 3 parts, and each part of the book felt so completely different from the last one. It was just all very refreshing and different. This book literally had so many plot twists, I could not guess where it was going, and I was just so blown away with like the depth of these characters, and definitely one of my new favorite adult thrillers out there. Definitely check this one out if you like thrillers. It's so good. The 6th book I read this month was The Morning After by Adrienne Lay. This author was kind enough to send me this book in exchange for an honest review. Unfortunately, I only gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I really wanted to love this one because the author is insanely sweet, and I feel really bad that I didn't like this book, but I have to be honest about the way I feel. It's a new adult romance novel. It follows this girl, Georgia. A love triangle happens between Georgia and her boyfriend back at home, Kyle, in New York, and then this guy, Tristan, who comes to like hang out with her and her friends for the summer at this house. To be honest, I couldn't stand Georgia or Tristan as characters. Like, there's a lot of cheating that goes on in this book, and that's just something that I'm not that comfortable reading about. Like I can't physically understand the reason why someone would be unfaithful to like the person they're with. I just like, Georgia thinking Tristan's so hot, but then telling herself, no, I have to be with Kyle, I love Kyle, and then she would do something that I would consider cheating with Tristan, and then she would tell herself, oh, no, it's just because I was drunk or whatever, like, I don't actually have feelings for him because I love Kyle, and then just, like, gossip to her friends about it, and gossip to her friends about how hot Tristan is, and it was just this, like, constant loop of this over and over and over again, and I hated the way how all of her friends made Kyle out to be some kind of bad guy, even though he wasn't really even in this book because he's in New York the whole time. But it's like, he's doing his job. He's a lawyer in New York City, okay? Like, he doesn't have time to come down in the summer and spend the whole summer with her at this house. I was supposed to hate Kyle, but I didn't because he's not doing anything wrong, and I just feel bad for him because Georgia has no self-control. I hate Tristan. He's such a douchebag. He's like Christian Grey. He looks like a Greek god. I'm supposed to like be attracted to him or give a shit about him. Like, I don't know. He was such a douche because he would lead her on one minute and be like, I'm gonna spend the summer making you fall in love with me and make you leave Kyle and whatever. But then as soon as she says, no, I can't do this, then like the next night he's on to the next girl, bringing 2 girls home and having 3 ways with them, and like, what? And like then she gets really jealous, obviously, and like ignores him, and it's just so dramatic and like ridiculous. And I can't. Tristan is exactly the kind of male character that I hate seeing in new adult books. And bleh, 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 bleh. The 7th book I read this month was Wicked Sexy Liar by Christina Lauren, and this is book number 4 in the Wild Seasons series. This book I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I freaking loved it. This one might be my new favorite in the series. Either this one or Sweet Filthy Boy, the first one with Ansel, is my favorite. I can't choose. Like, I love them both. But this book follows the characters Luke Sutter and London. London is a surfer by day, bartender by night, and Luke Sutter is her love interest, and he is kind of like a fuckboy, but he's not written as like a complete ridiculous douchebag. Like, he's still a good person, even though he has sex a lot. But this book was just so freaking good and adorable, and I loved it. Like, Luke and London are one of my new favorite OTPs ever, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm like a sucker for that trope when it's done right. When a guy who's like a fuckboy or whatever, he just has sex a lot and he doesn't really ever think he's gonna fall in love, when he starts to fall in love with a girl who like doesn't even want anything to do with him. I love that. That's like one of my favorite things. I don't know if you've ever seen Love and Other Drugs, but like that's one of my favorite movies, and it's kind of like that, how like she doesn't even care if he remembers her name. Like, it's so funny because in this book, the first night they're like hooking up and that they're together, he calls her by the wrong name and she doesn't even care enough to like correct him. Like, she's just so awesome and like doesn't give a crap, you know? I also loved seeing more of Luke and Mia's backstory in this because Luke is the first love of the girl Mia from the first book in this series, Sweet Filthy Boy, and we never got to hear really more about her past with Luke, and so in this book it really gets to dive into that, and I loved seeing more of their past as first loves and how they came about, and I love them together so much. Like, I'm so sad it's over. I love this series. Ugh. The 8th book that I read this month was With Malice by Aline Cook, and I was sent an art copy of this. This book comes out June 7th, and I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. This is a young adult thriller about this girl named Jill who wakes up in a hospital and she has no memory of the last 6 weeks of her life. Couldn't put it down, like I had to finish it. I think that's how you know when a young adult thriller is doing its job, if it keeps you interested up until the last page. This book kind of reminds me of like Dangerous Girls by Abigail Hawes, because it's like about 2 best friends and there's like a foreign location and there's this like murder mystery going on. Who did it and what's going on, and it kind of has like the similar vibes as Dangerous Girls does in that sense, which I really enjoyed because I love Dangerous Girls. And I really just love how this book dives into female friendships and like the cattiness that can be hidden just underneath the surface. I just think it's really interesting. The only problems I had with this book was that the ending I wasn't a huge fan of. This book was really enjoyable. I liked it a lot. And definitely check this one out on June 7th if that sounds interesting to you. Alright, and the last book I read this month was an audiobook, and that was Paper Towns by John Green. I actually never got around to reading it, so I listened to the audiobook this month, and I really liked it. I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't like my favorite thing ever, but it was like a really cute story. I mean, it's John Green, and I've never really been a fan of John Green. It had a lot of comedy in it, which I really appreciated, and I felt like the characters were all very like realistic. I really loved the audiobook. It was really funny. The guy narrating the audiobook really brought the characters to life, and it was just so fun to listen to while I was on the way to work. The reason why I gave it 3 out of 5 as opposed to a higher rating is because I don't think it's anything that's gonna like stick with me for a long time. I mean, it was cute. Some of the scenes just got kind of repetitive in my opinion, and I feel like it could have been sped along a lot faster. But other than that, this was a cute, light, fluffy read, and I enjoyed it. Those are all of the books that I've read this month. It was surprisingly a pretty good reading month. I gave a lot of high ratings this month, and that doesn't happen to me very often. So, thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll be posting new videos soon. See you guys later.